Good morning. Welcome to another session on environmental impact assessment. So let us continue with wherever we left. We have seen about scoping in the previous session. Now we will continue after that. So the next part is assessment of alternatives, delineation of the mitigation measures, and the EIA report. So for every project, possible alternatives should be identified, right? So as if you recollect the flow chart, right? So, or the different phases of the EIA process, which we have seen in the uh, earlier session. We have seen about screening, we have seen about scoping. Next one is to actually identify the impacts, and that part also we have discussed when we talked about the scoping in the last session. So after that, what we have to do is we'll have to find out what are the ways to mitigate meaning actually reducing the impact of this, reducing the various impacts, right? Reducing the various impacts that are being caused by the particular infrastructure project on the environment. So, so there has to be different alternatives that should be sought out, right? So, what are the different alternatives? Alternatives can be for a project location, right? For example, a particular person might have proposed a particular location for conducting or for carrying out his project or executing his project, and the location may not be so suitable, meaning it may be a place where you have a school where children keep coming, and it may be a location uh, where people are coming to shops or malls or something like that, meaning it may be area where it is densely populated, so that location is going to surely affect uh, the people. Generally industries are not being constructed in that type of locality, but it may be something else, right? Or it may not be so close to the school. It may be within maybe a kilometer or 2 kilometers, but that may also have some impact on the particular school or whatever shops or people where people are moving around. So alternative is to shift the location from there to some other location which is little more deserted, in the sense like people are not there, so that they don't get affected by the pollution that is coming from the air and water, soil, etc. Another alternative will be to change the process. I think I talked about this earlier. You may have to look at a different process which does not generate so much pollution, right? So this I said, when a particular project does not get the EIA from the government, they may have to redesign the process in such a way that the pollution is very less. So that is process technologies. So you may have to change the process. It may be the manufacturing process, or it may be the packaging process, because each process will uh, release some pollutants. Right? It may directly or indirectly affect the air, water, land, so on. Right? So there is no manufacturing process which does not cause any harm to either of these parameters. Another alternative will be no project, right? So that is when the EA is, what do you say, clearance is not given for the project and the project is abandoned altogether, right? There are some projects, uh, even in the recent times, which has caused a lot of problem to the people, and people have revolted and struggled hard to close such industries, right? Uh, Based on the best environmental option for optimum economic benefits to the community at large, alternatives should be ranked. And what they do is they rank, because there may be various other possibilities, or there may be various alternatives, and it is not just one alternative. So now we are in a dilemma as to which you know, uh, particular process to go with, right? In that case, what they do is they find out the optimum economic benefits that will come to the community, and they have to rank all those alternatives, and based on the ranking they'll have to find out which process which is more suited, right? Which is least uh, pollutive, right? Next one is the mitigation plan has to be, for the selected option, have to be drawn and supplemented with the environmental management plan to guide others towards the improvement in the environment. So it is not only the framing of the mitigation plan, we'll have to see how it is going to be carried out, right? For example, a industry is creating a lot of problem in terms of water pollution, and they might have proposed some plan in such a way that they're going to treat the water to such an extent that it is not going to pollute the aquatics and the water quality. So in that case, we'll have to see how the plan is going to get implemented, how they're going to monitor such things, and who will monitor it, and how often they're going to monitor it, and so on and so forth. So a lot of questions come around there. So EMP is critical for monitoring the clearance conditions. So there, this is where it plays a major role, right? Whether it is actually fulfilling the norms, statutory norms. For example, when it comes to water quality, we have some parameters, right? Like chlorides, nitrates, sulfates, and we have heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, so on, right? So the water quality has to confirm, or to say, it has to compliance with the requirements, meaning it should meet the minimum uh, requirements, or to say that the minimum quality requirement should be met, and henceforth details of monitoring should be included, right? So thus the EA report is prepared then, so that provides the decision maker with the information on different environmental scenarios, like whether to go with the project or to go without the project, or they should go for some different alternatives when they execute the project, and all the uncertainties that may come in the future must be reflected in the EA report. So as we told before, it is not possible to predict all the possible effects, right? We may be able to predict the impacts to a large extent, but sometimes some uncertainties come, right, which we might have not thought about, right? Why? Because the manufacturing process is like that, right? There are so many industries which are producing so many chemicals and so many products and so many electronic goods, and so many services they are providing to society, and so on. So it may be a very new industry which is going to create something, a new product which is going to be very very much useful for the society. But what kind of impacts it is going to have, nobody knows. What kind of pollutant it is going to generate into the air and water and land, nobody knows. So to large extent, we might have predicted the impacts of that particular industry, assuming that it is this kind of chemical that they're going to generate. So these are the impacts that are going to come. But we cannot quantify, or we cannot predict the exact diseases that are going to come from this particular project or this particular industry. So there are a lot of uncertainties. So that should be reflected in the EA report when the report is being made. Public hearing. So after EA report is made, public must be informed and consulted on the proposed development. Sometimes public hearing is done, as we have seen in the flow chart, uh, when it is decided that the project should go for EIA. At that time itself, public hearing may be conducted, or sometimes after the report is made, they do the public hearing. So summary of the EA report have to be provided to the people affected due to the proposed project. So who are these people? Local people. So it is the bona fide local residents. It may be the local associations, right? It may be the environmental groups that are active in that particular area. There are some, in some places, there are some environmental groups which keep working in improving the quality of the environment, right? So they have to be appraised of what this project is going to be, and any other person located in the project site or sites of displacement should also know what is going to happen. So you'll have to intimate them all these things. That is public hearing. Decision making. So consultation between the project proponent, assisted by the consultant, that is whoever is proposing this project, and the impact assessment authority, assisted by an expert, that has to be done. Consultation goes on between these two people, and the decision on the environmental clearance is arrived at through a number of steps, including the evaluation of the EIA and the EMP. EIA is the process, the environmental impact assessment, right? So, and also evaluation of the plans that they have proposed to mitigate the uh, harmful effects that are going to come from the project. And at last is the monitoring the clearance condition. Monitoring should be done during both the construction phase as well as the operation phase of the project, right? So, as I said, it is not only the impacts that are going to come during the execution of the project, right? So, there is a pre-construction phase, the construction phase, there's an operation phase, and there is also post-operation phase where in some cases you may have to close down the industry and you'll have to dismantle the manufacturing components and maybe the building and so on. So in that case, what kind of pollutants are going to get generated due to that particular process? So this ensures that the commitments made are compiled, and then if the prediction made uh, in the EA report is correct or not, right? Then corrective action should be taken if the impact exceeds the predicted levels. So this is again the EA process which we have discussed in the beginning, right? So we have seen through all these phases in this session, right? So a quiz for the end of this session: involvement of local people occurs in which stage of the project, right? Whether it comes in the screening or uh, it comes in the scoping or public hearing or baseline studies. Thank you. Thus, we come to the end of this session. Thank you for your participation. Looking forward to meeting you in the next session.